Mhm. Yeah, and Sandra, although you say you're not a speed puzzler, you do a lot of puzzles. So
Yeah.
how does your approach change when you're doing compared to like maybe a 300 or 500 piece puzzle up to 1,000 or even more?
Well, for puzzles below 500 pieces, I just flip them and sort out the edges, just like most speed puzzlers do. But for larger piece counts, I do a more detailed sort, so I don't have to flip up all the pieces on my table because it takes a lot of space. And I do a lot of using a lot of sorters and use trays and stuff like that to help me manage my space.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that was one of the common feedback that we got is that a lot of people say that when they go to doing a 1,000 piece puzzle, they do a lot more sorting just to help with the space management and also just to kind of plan out what they're doing and give them time to plan out their strategy and that they don't get overwhelmed. Because, of course, if you jump from 500 pieces and you're used to having everything out in front of you and visible, and then switching to 1,000, suddenly it's like, where do I look? My eyes are darting all over the table. So yeah, so I think we're going to probably see a lot of people using trays to manage the space, layering things on top, or just getting rid of the clutter and helping people to focus. Just what you're saying, Jim, something about the physical aspect of it. Yeah, that was also a comment. Alejandro says that he always sits down for 1,000 piece puzzles. So we're used to seeing him like bent over the table really close and moving hectically, but he also has his limits and his preferences. So we have lots of different comments. So definitely talking about space management is really important, and sorting was also very strong. Um, and we also had a lot of people say that this is their first time to do a 1,000 piece competition. And some people also have only done like 2 or 3 1,000 piece puzzles. So really excited for them to see how they go with this one. All right. Well, thanks, Sandra and Jim. And I'll just get back, check that everybody's ready to go. Thank you. And welcome to our viewers on YouTube. You can also let us know how your changes approach, if you're puzzling 500 or 1,000s, or maybe you even use 100 and 200 piece puzzles for your speed puzzle training. I find like for doing like practicing like flipping speeds or like going for border first or not, you can use smaller puzzles to really practice that a lot better. Okay, so it looks like everybody. Okay, Victor is putting away his practice puzzle.
Always important to have a warm up to make sure that your fingers are going the fastest that they can right away, right? It seems like a minor thing, but as soon as you can lock in that fast pace and then carry it throughout, that's a really good space to be in.
Yeah. All right, so we've got over 80 people in the meeting. That looks about right. Okay, so please unwrap your puzzle.
Here's the big drum roll. What's it going to be? What's inside the box?
And I think this one had stickers on it, or just take off anything that's hindering the box lid from coming off.
Do I see a bunch of doggos?
So when you're ready, place the box back on the middle of the table. Okay. So there is a paper bag in this one. There's no poster. So all right, everyone has their puzzle on the table ready to go. Let's do a countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck, everybody.
Let's go. Good luck. And good morning to everybody as we jump into EJJ 55, the second solo 1,000 competition. This is really exciting. Yeah, tell us a little bit about this puzzle, Michelle.
Yeah, so this is from the brand Happily. We've had this one time before with a pairs puzzle, the Something Fishy. And this is a brand from the UK, and they use yeah, beautiful artworks. This one is called Art Dogs. So yeah, dogs with dog pun names of famous artists. The artist is called Nia Gould, and she often uses cats um, in her artwork. There's also a very similar one with cats on it, but this one is the one with the dogs. It's really fun. You've basically got 15 mini puzzles. Everything has a white border, everything has a little bit of text, and yeah, it's just super fun and colorful. A great one for sorting, and yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a really lovely puzzle, Michelle. It's also pretty cool because there's a lot of good texture pulls that are inside of here. If there's about 15 cells, that means that each one is going to be about 66 pieces or so. So it's sort of like doing several sprints back to back if you can get those color differences down really well. Like at my first glance at it, I know a lot of people shy away from fur or those kinds of textures, but that gray stripy Jackson pinnock, great. It sticks out to me pretty well texture wise, but it might be hard to put together. Um, some of the backgrounds on like Vincent van Gogh, um, like you really want to be able to find the distinct things and group those together in order to try to knock this out quickly. We'll probably see some puzzlers go for the border. I'm not sure if you need to on this because everything is pretty distinct pull wise.
Yeah, it
Um,
is all a white border, and I mean
oh yeah,
they do have a little bit of like each color on it, so there's very few pieces that are pure white, but still it's not something you need to pull at the beginning. I'll just
yeah.
introduce who we've got on the screen. We've got Aaron from the UK. He says with higher piece counts he cries more. I think I'm going to have to do an interview with Aaron and Graham at some point from the UK. They always provide answers with a lot of humor, and sounds like they always just have a good time. We also have Alejandro, and he looks like he's doing it on a mattress, like on a pull-out mattress. Maybe he's visiting someone or at a hotel, um, or just a
Yeah,
coffee table with a strange texture. I
yeah,
will say, if it is a mattress, that would, for many puzzles it would be a disaster, but not for Happily, because Happily has a really tight fit. You can basically just complete some pieces and pick it up and just slap it over there. So yeah, he's standing up for the flip, but we'll see what Alejandro how he gets on later. We also have Alina from Germany and Angelica from Germany, Anna A from Cyprus, and Anna L from Germany.
yeah. I always love watching people's flip early on. One of the big differences you can see right away between 1,000 or 500 or even a 3 is that at about 3 minutes, at a little over 3 minutes, we would have already seen people have completed their flip and started working. With 1,000, you're probably going to be closer to about 5:45, maybe 6:30 on the flip, just because there's that many more pieces that you got to get through, especially for some of the speedsters. It is fun to see Alejandro. The table looks like it's lower than his seat, which might be difficult on his back. We'll see if he powers through here on this. But we're gonna have a pretty exciting start here. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see that Alejandro's already, it looks like he's sorting the edges as he flips, but he doesn't always go for them right away.
Yeah, so we now have Anime from Switzerland, April from Ireland, Aijalin from Argentina, Cameron from Canada, Chiara from Italy, and Claudia from Germany.
Yeah, you can see on Cameron's screen, they're also sorting some of the edges, I think. It's about half of that whole piece of the edge that's just white. So you have to do very small clues if you want to try to piece that whole thing together. I think a good strategy here might be to try to do this by components. So whenever you go to start working on one of those cells, one of those groups, you just grab those particular ones out of the border pile rather than trying to brute force that whole thing. But a lot of it depends on what the colors sit on those pieces and how the puzzler sees them. You know, lighting can be a big effect. How often you do that kind of puzzle is huge. I don't know how common Happily is in the UK. I know that they've changed names a couple of times, and that might kind of that might kind of adjust how people are familiar with it.
Yeah, they have some really good puzzles for speed puzzling because they all have a similar style. They often have just a white background with kind of like color blocks, really nice sections, and kind of like kind of over the head, yeah, like objects on a table type of views. So everything has nice clean borders to all of the sections.
Yeah. Yeah, we're coming up on the 6 minute mark here. You can see Anime doing a big sort ahead of time. April has a support team there, which is really exciting. You always want to have people rooting for you as you're puzzling. Um, Aline getting through that pile very rapidly. You can see also pulling the edges out of that big pile, and Claudia making great headway as well.
Daria Botsek, Daria, your camera is off. Please check that. Daria from Poland.
Yeah, SJ here is mentioning that he has puzzles from all three of their brand names from over the years. Yeah, there's a
Oh,
little bit
really?
of a Dread Pirate Roberts kind of thing.
What were they called before? I'm unfamiliar with that.
I think they've shifted it from Happily to Happily Puzzles, and then there was another one in there. Sammy Brownlow was mentioning this a while back
Okay.
whenever I was talking to her about a different puzzle. Yeah.
Elodie Serrano, your camera is also off. I've checked both of your devices and the camera is off. And Daria, please check your camera. So we have Cornelia from Austria, Danny from Netherlands, Elena from Latvia, and Eliza from Denmark.
Yeah. And you can see that Cornelia is still getting through this flip, but it seems like there's a pretty decent sort going on. She has what looks to be either sorting trays or just extra room further on her right, and she's dumping clumps of those pieces in. And we've seen a lot of people talk about the trade-off of doing a little bit more sorting up front. I think a big part of that on 1,000 depends on what kind of puzzle it is. If you have a huge landscape, doing a lot of sorting can be some extra touches unless you're super duper accurate on that. Puzzles like this, where things are pretty well contained, there's not a lot of duplication of colors or textures, you have a little bit, you have a higher likelihood of making that sort accurate right out the gate, and that can pay off for a lot of people, which is pretty neat. Is that Dari? Yeah, Dari seems to be plowing away here, getting through that pile very quickly. And Elena's doing a good job. You can see that she's started to pull some of that green texture. I think it might be for the Vincent Vindog Van Gogh. I love these pun names. And is going to make some good headway there when she gets going. And Elisa, yes, Elisa has sorted the edges and is also doing an additional pull from parts of the pile and is getting ready to get going on some of the assembly.
Yeah, so with this puzzle, I did find myself doing a lot of sorting up front. There's this one dog called Jackson Porlock, which is it stands out very easily because it's basically black scribbles on a gray background. So it's the darkest and yeah, it has the least color on it, so that one did stand out. But I did actually just put it aside because I was like, I'm not doing that one anytime soon. It looked like the hardest one. It was actually like the one that I did second to last. But even then, what I found is really great is that even like each puzzle in itself is not that many pieces, and everything has a white border. So you can always just do the border of that mini puzzle first, and then kind of work your way outside inwards. So that's, yeah, a really fun thing about like collage style images.
Yeah, absolutely. Using any kind of trick to give you to as Becca Taylor calls it, lowering the noise of the pile. So that way you can focus on things that you can assemble. So if you can see the outline or like the borderline between the inside of the cell and the outside of the cell, that's a great way to get a handful of pieces in, and then you have more information to keep going. It's really great.
Yeah, so in the top hand corner, we've got Everly from Estonia. So actually we have three Estonians today. So introduce them later, but I thought that was quite nice. The most representation we've had from Estonia.
Congrats, Estonia.
We also have Eva from Poland, Franziska from Germany, Hannah from Finland, Helen from the UK, and Helen from the UK.
Lovely.
And it looks like Hannah is going straight for the border, whereas Franziska is pulling out the spotty one. So it's called Yay Dog Kusama, and it's basically made up of dots. So there's like a black and yellow background. And she said in her comments that she prefers to pull pieces out of a box as opposed to spilling everything out on the table.
Yeah, and we can see her digging through that box to find exactly what she's looking for. It's a pretty interesting way. I remember whenever I was with the first couple of puzzles that I did, that's basically what my method was to shake the box a little bit and see what could pop out. We'll see how this goes for. It's you're going to see a lot of puzzlers gravitate towards those yellow spots because they are one of the more distinct colors that stick out within the pile. So I think a lot of people might sort that and get going on it early. It's going to be really fun to see how people approach it. You can see Franziska there has some of the outline and is really working on the border lines between colors rather than trying to build from the middle out on that dog, which is really great. Hannah's also doing a fantastic job getting this border in, coming in at just over just over 12 minutes. That full border is about 126 pieces on a 1,000-piece puzzle. So if her flip is around 6 minutes, she's really cooking on that. But it seems like she might have about 30 pieces left, maybe 40 of that border before jumping to the next thing. So she's making really good progress here right away.
Yeah, so we also have Inga S from Lithuania, and then Inga S from the Netherlands, Inka from Finland, Eva from Czechia, and Jane from Denmark.
Fantastic. Yeah, you can see Inga S. They're using a couple of different puzzle sorting trays. Seems like they're making really tight groups there too. You can see that they have small little mountains of pieces that they're going to build through. The full sort up front can feel a little scary, but if you're really accurate with your assembly, it can pay off. It can pay off over time. You can also see that Inka in the lower left there doing a very similar thing, has nice tight rows, and she almost has that yellow spotted dog, the Yay dog, the Yay dog Kusama, almost fully complete there, and that's going to be about 66 pieces or so. Eva is also almost done with Vindog Van Gogh and is starting to work on Rothdog. I love the Rothdog setup on that. But doing a very, very fantastic job. You'll notice that she hasn't done a full sort, but she's going through the pile and grabbing the pieces that match the texture of the color that she's wanting to work on the most. Jessica there making pretty decent progress on the edge, getting those corners in and built. Yeah, and making pretty solid progress.
Yeah, so now on screen we have Jessica from Germany, Jonathan from the UK, Julia from Austria, Karina from Germany, Kati from Germany, and Katrin from Switzerland. And it's really great. Now we're starting to see some dogs being built. We can see Karina and Kati have both gone for the spotty dog. Also, Julia has those pieces pulled out, Yay Dog Kusama. And Kati has also done Pete Matrian. So the kind of boxy graphical one with the big yellow square. That was also one that I did fairly early on. I really liked that one. So yeah, we're starting to see some which ones stand out. Definitely the spotty one jumps out to many people.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have something that's a bright color that's yellow that has a unique texture with the spots, and then the white and the red also. So it makes sense that a lot of people gravitate towards that early on. You can see Julia Kraus up there in the upper right is doing a lot of additional sorting, but also has the spotted dog already built. And I think it's Katrine Stahl, yeah, in the lower right, is using several different boxes as the sorting trays, which is a really great way to recycle some of your boxes if you're not sure what to do with them. Just use them as sorting trays. It's an excellent move. Um, Karina there in the left has spotted dog and is also beginning to make pulls, and Kati making great progress as well. And this is where we're coming up on the 16-minute mark, and it's really easy to settle into a rhythm of, okay, we're on the 1,000. I'm just going to keep chugging along here. And that's where very early on, a lot of puzzlers will start to slow themselves down unintentionally because you kind of settle into this is going to be a long haul. So I'm going to take my time. Hey, this is speed puzzling, guys. You got to treat this as though every step is the fastest one you got to take, right? So you got to keep on trucking. You want to keep that pace going fast the entire time, not just whenever you're starting or stop. Not just whenever you're doing the flip. You want to be keeping that pace going the entire time. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, so we have Kyle from the USA participating for the first time today. Now he's one of the most well-known, puzzle streamers on Twitch under the name of Kyleco. He is actually streaming today on Twitch if you also want to check him out and send him some encouraging messages. And he will also be a guest interview later in the piece if he's feeling up to it. It is like, what's it, 3 a.m. or over
Yeah,
his
something like
time?
that. Yeah.
So let's see how he feels. Yeah, he can just decide later after his finish if he's feeling up to it or if he'd rather crawl back into bed, which would be totally understandable. We also have Larissa from Germany, Laura from Hungary, Lena from Germany, and Len from Denmark.
Yeah, and you can see Kyle plowing through this border. He also has a black table, which might make some of those whites pop really well. And he's taking a path less traveled here. He's starting off with that Andy, with the Andy Warhol. Sorry, I'm reading the dog names and just giggling at the puns. But it's the Andy Warhol style in that upper right. And I can see why his eyes are attracted to that because those are pretty unique textures that sit on the pieces. And he's not doing a major sort ahead of time. Kyle typically doesn't do a lot of that. He'll find the chunks that he wants to work on, pull them, and then try to fly through it. And he's making really good progress here, coming up on about the 18-30 minute mark. Larissa using that Kristen Thove one-handed style, and starting to I can't quite tell which dog that is that she has. I think it's the blocky one, or it might be Pablo Pugasso. Um, making pretty good progress there. Len has at least 66 pieces in with the spotted dog and is now working on the border of what I think is the lower right hand side, that Henry Matisse dog, which is that gray background. And you can see that she's doing the outline of that cell first before working on anything in the middle, which I think is going to be a really important tactic for a lot of the puzzlers here. Len is also doing a really good job using that giant frisbee bowl as a sorting tray.
Yeah, so we also have on screen Lenka from Slovakia, Linda from the Netherlands, Lisa from Norway, Lynn from Belgium, and Maggie from Austria.
Yeah, you can see how much progress Lenka and Kate are making. They are flying. You'll notice that their hands never stop moving. We're coming up on the 20-minute mark, and their physicality of movement is the same now as it was during the flip. They haven't lost a step in any of that. It looks like Kate has about 3.5 cells complete approximately. And Lenka is starting to move around, and it looks like she's going to work on the Fido Calho, that blue background cell that's going to be in the top middle. Linda also has the yellow spotted dog and starting to work on the Vincent van Gogh. And this is where you're going to see a lot of divergence with what cells the puzzlers work on. Which things do they find the easiest right away? Which thing does their eye attract to? And so even though there's a lot of differences in which cells they work on in which order, the tactics that they use in order to get those in are going to be pretty similar. You can see Maggie Gruns in the lower right has already done the outline of that dark blue cell, the Fido Kahlo, but she worked from the inside out on the Mutis on that Mutis dog, which is a pretty unique tactic. But for her lighting where she's at, that gray and white line divider between the inside of the cell and the outside of the cell may be harder to see for her right now. So she's starting with the things that she can see right away, and then is still proceeding. And that's one of the things with the thousands is you have to keep moving. You have to keep working on what you can see right away. Um, Sometimes there's not a whole lot of time to do what's perfect whenever it's the case that what you're doing is already fast enough, right? Um,
Yeah, what's interesting is that I did the Matisse last. I found that
mhm.
one and I kind of struggled because when you have the pieces and they're all got like a little bit of dark blue and a little bit of white kind of strokes, I didn't know which way was up and which way was down. I didn't know if I was holding a leg or a tail or an ear. And that was the one. So it's interesting that she did that one as her first one. Yeah, for me, I would have, if I had started that earlier on, I would have kind of like shoved it off to the side after a few pieces and given up, and moved to something early, something that was a bit more obvious and easier to build. But yeah, good on her for getting that one out of the way early on in the piece. So we also have Maya from Finland, Marie from Norway, Marilise from Estonia, and Marta from Norway.
Yeah, and you can see some people are starting to pull away from the rest of the pack. If you really watch the hands, a big part of that is overall physicality, and this is where I was mentioning that on the thousands, it's easy to fall into that slower pace early on because you're settling into it, but they're still making really great progress here. Marlies getting that Rothko built out and down, and it looks like starting in on the Van Gogh. You can see that the way that her table's set up, she has also put in several of the edge chunks throughout the puzzle, just not all connected at once. So she's going to be able to fly through and get those in all in one go. Marie has a pretty good setup there, is use that rainbow spread of pieces. So that way she can kind of bring one from every side to where she wants to go to. Really fun to watch the different ways that people are attacking this. Somebody in the chat was mentioning, yeah, with these kind of collage puzzles, it's easy to feel it when you feel a slowdown to switch to a different spot and get some new momentum, which is really great. Yeah, Jenny puzzles. That's a great point. If you start feeling a slowdown, move to a different spot so that way you can get some momentum going and feel that pace pick up again.
Yeah, so on screen we have Mooney from Germany, Nadia from Indonesia, but she lives in Germany. But nice to have some new nationalities being represented. We also have Nicole from Bulgaria, Nora from Finland, and Patrick from Switzerland. And for Nadia, this is only her second time to do 1,000 pieces. So yeah, very courageous to jump right in the deep end and go for it. And yeah, Nicole says that when she's doing a higher piece count, sorting is a must. And Patrick says with smaller puzzles, he likes to practice his speed or to do warming up for competitions to get his fingers ready. And yeah, he's also someone that we often see doing a warm-up puzzle before the main event. And with the higher piece numbers, he's trying to improve his endurance.
Yeah, the endurance is a huge part of it. But Patrick's doing a really good job here. It looks like he started out doing that gray shaggy Jackson Pollock, and has that built out. That might be trickier for some of the other puzzlers, so he got one of the harder ones out of the way early. And it looks like he's now moving on to Pablo Pugasso and sort of sunbursting down from something that he's already built. So he's in a pretty good spot. It looks like he's also done a little bit of sorting uh, ahead of time, so he's going to be able to jump through. You can also see Nicole over there on the far lower left has done a lot of sorting and is still getting through parts of that. So we'll see how quickly the assembly catches up to the work that she's done ahead of time. Nora doing a pretty decent job here, has that rainbow built out of all of her other pieces. Looks like she has some edges off to the side and is making good progress on the lower left-hand side. Doing a quick check-in with Kati. It looks like she has four, about four fully completed cells. Um, they're not four fully completed cells once you kind of mush them together a little bit. But she's making really great progress, and we're only coming up on the 26-minute mark here. So some of these puzzlers are really flying, and this is not easy to do by any means. Um, for those of you playing at home, if you have four of those cells together and they're about 66 pieces, that's 264 pieces. So some people are getting 300 piece pace times out the gate, which is really, really impressive. And quite frankly, being able to do 1,000-piece puzzle in any amount of time, less than a day and a half, which is what it would normally take me, is really wild. So keep on pushing, everybody. We're rooting for you.
Yeah, so yeah, put your times in the chat, what you think the fastest time would be for this. So just as a comparison, we've done one 1,000-piece puzzle before. That was EJJ number 45 with sunshine puzzles. The fastest time was 1 hour and 19 minutes. And so very close together were Martia, Chiara, and Lenka, 1 hour and 19, which is an amazing time for 1,000 pieces. I did this puzzle in 1 hour and 56 minutes. So I was thrilled to do this under 2 hours. So there's about 20 to 30 people who are faster than me in this in this competition. So yeah, let us know what you think the winning times might be. So on screen we have Quinta from the Netherlands, Rachel from Denmark, Rika from Finland, Rika from Denmark, and Sabina from Czechia.
Yeah, you can see Rachel has done is almost done a full sort and has even placed the pieces that she wants to work on approximately where they're going to end up. So rather than it being a thing of the sort and then having to move the pieces again in order to get in order to build them out, she's already spaced them out, which is a really, really great tactic because then you don't have to go through and add an extra touch. Limiting the number of times that you touch each piece is huge, especially on 1,000. You know, on 100 or 500, you can make a couple of missteps and you can grab the piece a couple of extra times and it'll slow you down a little bit, but not significantly. If you retouch, 300 pieces, that's going to be at least 150 seconds added to your total time, and you've added 2 minutes just by retouching some of the pieces on the 1,000. So those little retouches add up very, very rapidly. So the more accurate you can be on the 1,000, the faster your times are going to be, and it's hard to maintain the focus for that long. Quinta's doing a really good job here. You can see she's doing a similar setup of sorting a few things, putting them approximately where they're going to go, and then building it out and then shifting around as need be. Really great start there, Quinta. Lots of fans in the chat rooting for Quinta, the Quinta crew going to town right now. Rika's doing a really good job. You can see that she's did the Shaggy Dog and is working on that blue background as well. And she's doing more of the bring the pieces to her and then we'll readjust. Whenever there's big cells like that, it can be easier to just do them in chunks and then look for the joins a little later. Rika has 1, 2, 3, almost 4 complete cells. I'm gonna call it 3 3/4 there. But she's moving very rapidly, and is in the call here for one of the leaders. Really good job. And Sabina is doing very solid right now too. These 1,000-piece puzzles, let's keep in mind we're just over 30 minutes here. Getting any amount of this puzzle done in this time is bananas. So congrats to everybody that's pushing right now, and keep on going. This is about the time whenever that fatigue starts setting in a little bit, where you're like, okay, I've been working on this for about a half hour, right? And this is where that mental fortitude, that mental game of saying, hey, we got to keep trucking. I know I've been focusing for a little bit, but go, 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 go. What's the next thing I can work on? What's the lens that I can change my eyes to in order to see what's next?
Yeah, everybody's doing a really great job. It's so nice to see these little squares coming together. Yeah, and if it's the type of puzzle that if you just can't find the pieces to finish that little square, just move on to the next one, and you're going to find it eventually. And just yeah, keep up that momentum, and yeah, just see what catches your eyes next. Yeah, Rika's been doing a really great job. She has been improving so much recently, and she was one of the people who managed to do the sunshine puzzle under uh, under 2 hours. So that's really great. And just want to mention, we're going to have a chat with Quinta later. Yeah, we tried to have a chat with her when we did the sunshine puzzle, but unfortunately we ran out of time. But we're gonna make time today, so we'll catch up with her a bit later. So on screen right now, we have Sarka from Czechia, Satu from Finland, Semilia from France, and Nasilia from Norway.
Lovely. Yeah. Sarka, you can see, has their pieces over on their left-hand side, and has 1, 2, 3 cells about built, it looks like. They've also done the barquat. It's that one cell that's in the upper left-hand side, on the box itself, but it has a lot of that graffiti art style. So it's fun to see what jumped out to Sarka there. The graffiti art style and the Andy Warhol colors seem to be the starting point there, which is really great, even though they're on opposite sides of the board. Samelia doing a great job, has sorted out several of the chunks there and is starting to plow through. I see at least three boxes there. Yeah, no, this is where people start to feel the grind. So make sure to protect your backs a little bit. You can wiggle it out as you're still moving. Nobody needs to get hurt while puzzling. But keep on trucking away. There are some suggestions of what times we might be seeing in the chat right now. I'm just going to read a couple off. We have a guess of an hour 15, an hour 27, an hour 17:33. That is a very specific, SJ. Another person saying an hour 17. That's Catherine. It would be funny if the finish time is exact like that. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that we'll see a first place time around an hour 26, an hour 26:33, and then I'm gonna go out on a further limb and say that we'll see a top 5 that's all under an hour 45. I'm gonna be a little aggressive in that guess.
All right. We have on screen right now Stefan from Austria, Stephanie K from Germany. Oh, we got 2 Stephanie Ks. We got hang on, a bit confused. We have Stephanie Kapfer from Germany, Susanna from Germany, and Tamar from the Netherlands, and Tammy from the USA. Tammy says that space management is a lot different since the table gets crowded. So she probably has a lot of pieces where we can't see them off to the side there.
Yeah, Tammy's a legend of the puzzle community. Is like one of the founders of USA JPA, has been puzzling for a ton, has won all sorts of awards, and is a champion. And you can see why. She has several cells already built out. And she's not doing a ton of individual sorting up front, but whenever she goes to work on a cell, she'll grab those pieces, pull them, and then build that cell in one spot. And she's also bouncing around a little bit from project to project. You see, she's getting ready to go for another big pull here, um, which is really great to keep moving. Tamar, I just want to get the pronunciation right, um, is doing a really, really good job here. You can see that they haven't completed every single box that they're working on, but because they keep moving, they have a lot of pieces together, even if it's not complete. I always tell people, 85% is good enough. If you get 80 to 85% of the chunk done, that's great. You can move on to something else until your eyes see it easily. So they're making really, really great progress there.
And
It's
what I
kind of
really
exciting
like
to see that jump around.
what I really like what Tamar is doing is that
Mhm.
you can already see the full dimensions of the puzzle. Even though the border is not completely done, you can see the width and the depth of the puzzle, and yeah, it's just about filling in the middles. But yeah, that's a really interesting strategy. They're kind of working on everything at once, but having a really good overview.
Yeah, you can see right now they're working on a specific chunk in the middle, and then if that's not working, she'll go and bounce to a totally different area after giving it a go for a little bit. Really, really great tactic there. Suzanne has at least four islands together, so about 270 pieces coming in on the 37-minute mark. So making some really, really great progress there. That's exciting. And Stefan using a puzzle board to separate some of the pieces there, and is also making good progress. You can see the Andy Warhol dog starting to make its appearance in some of the other puzzlers' repertoire here.
So we're nearing the end of the alphabet. We started at A today, and we're getting very close to the end. So right now we have Taya from Finland, Teresa from Czechia, Ula from Estonia, and Veronica from Slovakia.
Yeah, Taya's doing a really good job. You can see that, sort of like what Tammy mentioned with piece management and the spacing being a little awkward. Deciding where you want to sort certain pieces versus where you want to build versus where you want the file starts to become a little difficult. But Taya's done a really good job of separating those out for herself, so she's going to be able to see those. Teresa has a lot of pieces sort of packed in, but I want people to notice Teresa's stance here. She has one leg up on a chair and is sort of kneeling. And it looks like she's leaning on that leg so that way she can take the pressure off of her back. It's a really cool tactic to make sure that you're not just leaning on your lower back and causing pain the whole time. That sort of protection up front early helps make sure that you're gonna have endurance throughout the whole time. It's a really great move, Teresa. Um, and we can see in the lower left there, Ulia just did a big shift to grab a whole bunch of pieces, and it's going to start working on a new chunk as 3 down. And she also did a pretty good sort up front. You can see all the edges over there, and then it looks like the Warhol pieces and the Van Gogh. So by setting them up in that rainbow order, she can just grab a chunk, pull it down to herself, build it, move on to the next thing. Really cool. And Veronica, you can see that she has the lines taped off there, that orange line, probably for official 500 spacing for usual practice. But with this 1,000, you can see that she's also trying to place those cells approximately where they're going to go. And one thing I should point out, if you're not familiar with a brand, getting that spacing right out the gate can be very difficult. So folks that are doing that without the border put in, and are making those estimations, they're doing a really, really great job. And it becomes a game of how soon do you start looking for the major joins between the different cells versus just chugging through.
Yeah, so the final 4 people in the alphabet, we have Vesna from Finland. She's also live streaming on YouTube if you wanted to check out her channel, Puzzling Happiness. Also, Tammy McLeod is streaming on her channel, Tammy McLeod Puzzler. We also have Vicky from Hungary, Vanida from Thailand, and Victor from Poland. And Vanina is joining us from Europe. I don't think we sent a package to Thailand recently, but that would be cool if we did. But yeah, happy to have her with us. And what I really like is Vicky has gone for the text. So she has got all the name holders ready, and then she's going to place the pieces, doing her pick and place method, roughly where they belong over the names.
Yeah, and that just goes to show what jumps out to people in different ways. For Vicky, it seems that text was one of the easier things to grab onto. I'm trying to take a quick look. Yeah, those fonts, the font is about the same for all of those different wordings. So for her to be able to see that and place it so quickly is really phenomenal. Great job there, Vicky. That's a really cool methodology. And she's probably 1, 2, 3. I want to say with those words in is maybe about 4.5, maybe 4.5 cells in right now, which is really impressive. Juanita doing a great job there. Keep on pushing. We're rooting for you. And you can see Victor over here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has about 6 cells completed in total. And you can see that he jumps around a little bit. One of the things that I really like about Victor's puzzling process is that he doesn't he doesn't slow down. His hands are always working on something, which is huge, because if you can't be making progress in one place, then move somewhere else and make progress elsewhere. You can see that he just did a little bit of a sort to try to get some of those darker reds for the Rothko built in. And whenever he did so, he also grabbed a bunch for the Andy Warhol and sort of did those two as a simul together. So he's making really good progress here. And I saw Vesna there for a half a second. Is using that sorting tray in the middle to make sure that things stay organized. Really, really well done. Matt in the comments is mentioning, I could not puzzle on a non-white table. Please invest in a white table, people. And then he says, well, I have seen Christian do some crazy times on a brown table, though. Yeah, and it's interesting. We talk a lot about what the contrast is between the backgrounds, the background that you're puzzling on versus what you're able to see, because you can end up with a lot of a lot of ambiguity between the pieces. Some people see black pieces easier on a black background because the difference between those colors pop out a little bit more. But by the same token, if you have a white background with white pieces, that can be pretty difficult too. So it really depends on what the puzzle is and how your eyes catch things. If you get used to a certain color of table, then anything that's not that is going to feel a little weird. Like you can see Kati and Hana, they both have these brown background tables along with Kiara, and they are some of the fastest puzzlers in the world. Anime also doing a great job and on that yellow shading. So it's really exciting to see how people's eyes adjust. Hannah might be, I'm gonna say Hannah might be in the lead here, with that full border that's like an extra cell and a half, really. Um, so she's making excellent progress. You can see that she's pulled out a sorting tray to make the transfer from the main pile to where she's going to be working on a little bit easier. And that's one of the things that I think about using those sorting trays, is more like an ejector button, where you want to get things onto the trays and off of the trays as quickly as possible. So that way you're focusing on assembly right after you get the sort done. Rather than having something sit there for a really long time. But you can also end up using it as space management tool, which is really neat. Alejandro using that rainbow sort above his pieces, and you can see that he's crouching down over top of the table. I'm hoping that's to protect his back a little bit, but it's kind of like doing yoga while puzzling. It's really impressive. You can see he's bouncing from project to project. Has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to say maybe 6 cells together, all in all, and some the full edge to get done. Sometimes he always pulls the edges first, but he doesn't always end up building an out. And I always enjoy how Alejandro shifts what his methodology is going to be based on the puzzle. He's not locked into having to do things one specific way in order to make progress. Kiara also doing a really great job here. You can see that she loaded up that sorting tray with several of the black pieces, and she put them on a white sorting tray. It might be easier to see them pop, and she's working on that shaggy dog. And you'll notice that whenever she picks up one of those pieces, she tries them in a couple of different spots very rapidly. You can see that she rotates it in her hand, then drops it in, which is going to save her time rather than taking the piece, trying it, pulling it back out, thinking about life, and then trying a different spot. Those extra seconds add up very, very quickly over a 1,000-piece puzzle.
So I would say, just at what we can see right now, it looks like Alejandro is in the lead from my perspective, because all of his cells are finished. So he's got 7 complete cells, whereas the others have like also 6 plus a couple of halves, but maybe the dog is missing in the middle. But I mean, Hannah and Kiara are also very far ahead, and Kati and Victor as well. But in terms of completed cells, Alejandro has kind of does it, make sure it's done before he moves on. But yeah, we're doing pretty well for like a really, really low puzzling surface. So extra points for Alejandro for on a looks like a mattress on a very low base.
Yeah,
But
and
it
it is always difficult to tell like who's in the lead without doing a piece count every every minute or so. So there is some estimations that kind of go on, and also the angles can be a little fun. So it's always a surprise. Alejandro is doing really, really well here, along with Hana, and Lenka is also making some good progress as well here. I pulled her up on my screen just to take a look. I try to keep an eye on everybody as well. Inga is doing well. That sun in the sign might be that sun might be causing a little bit of glare on her table for us, but for her it might be very easy to see. You can see Victor bouncing around from cell to cell, and he's starting to load up pieces on top of the puzzle itself. Rather than using a sorting tray, Victor tends to put the pieces right onto something that he's either completed, so that way he knows he doesn't have to go back to it, or he can just pull things off of that have the contrast. You can see that he's using that red dog to put blue pieces on, and then is pulling them off.
Yeah, so I'm just switching up the screens, just seeing else who's in the top 10, in contention for the top 10, or those who are the speedy speedsters. So I've also added Kyle and Tammy and Lenka to the screen.
Lovely.
Lenka has got a really nice frame done, and yeah, some of her cells completely done. So yeah, there are 15 cells on the puzzle. So when people get to about 7, they're halfway-ish with the border.
Yeah, we're coming in on the 49-minute mark. So these puzzlers are doing a really fantastic job. And we were talking about what's the difference between a smaller piece counts and bigger piece counts. Well, on a 500, a lot of the top puzzlers have already finished by now, or getting close, even on those harder puzzlers around this 49-minute mark. A lot of the top puzzlers would have been fully complete even on a pretty difficult puzzle. And we're only about halfway here on these 1,000 pieces. So making sure that you're still grooving and moving is really important. You can see Tammy is using a clear sorting tray, which she allows her to put a piece onto the sorting tray and then kind of hover over things that she's already completed and see through a little bit in order to dunk those pieces down, which is pretty neat tactic. Kyle is making really good progress here. There's some disjointed work, but because he's bouncing from thing to thing rather than getting bogged down in something that might feel slow, he's still making a lot of progress. He has one, two, three, uh, four, 5.5 cells, and then the full border. So that's going to be about 6. Um, Doing a really, really good job. Kiara also making great progress. Again, you can see that she's starting to move in on finishing up that border, um, which I think is going to be a little tricky, but she's going to be able to power through here. Um, and switching things around. Lenka's doing a really fantastic job. I like her setup right now. And you can see that that little bit of sort that she was doing earlier is starting to pay off. She's very rapidly getting that black dog into place. And you can see as she moved to a new cell, she got that momentum swing back and her hands started moving very quickly again, right? Every time you can be excited about working on something or finishing it, you make a lot of progress, which is really, really great.
Yeah,
Um,
I just like to mention that, like, if you look at Kyle's view, it kind of looks a bit chaotic, and yet there is order there because he's put like the border pieces that he couldn't place straight away, he's placed them just above the image, and then he has all the rest of the pieces off to the right hand side. So he's only pulling from one direction. And then if we look at Lenka, she has also her pieces all to the left, and the pieces she's currently working on the cells that she has begun to start. Or even if she can't place them, then she just places them above the puzzle that she can grab them later if she needs them, but kind of very orderly as well.
Yeah, so having some sort of system on 1,000 piece really helps make sure that your brain doesn't go through this process of, but wait, where did I put that thing? Right? It's really easy to start drifting into a split pile or a pile that's so big that you have to scan a larger portion of the table or get a little lost trying to find what you're looking for. So having really tight control over where you want to put the pieces helps make sure that on these thousands you can really groove. You can see Hannah just finished up part of a chunk of that Warhol, or sorry, not the Warhol, the upper left hand side, that graffiti dog. Um, because she was able to put some pieces on that sorting tray, dunk them in, and then get out as quickly as possible. Really, really well done. Just taking a quick look at the chat to see if people have made any comments so far. Yeah, so yeah, you're right that our backs hurts after watching Alejandro a little bit, a little bit. But he's making really great progress here. Tamir's doing excellent. Um, Lenka's starting to dive in on that right hand side where those reds are. And this is, again, where people's eyes see different things. Because she has that black table, those brighter blues probably jumped out to her a little bit. And now those reds that are a little bit darker might be bleeding into the background a little bit.
Yeah, so I've also added Quinta, Maggie, and Patrick to the screen to check on their progress. So they're all coming along well. They've all done about 6 or more uh, mini puzzles.
Yeah. Yeah, I've talked with a lot of puzzlers. Emma Pan, one of the U.S. puzzlers, talked about how sometimes what's handy to do is to just set a time limit, kind of like in Crew, to say, all right, for the next 10 seconds, I'm going to go as fast as I possibly can. And then for those 10 seconds or for that 1 minute, you just go at your maximum speed. That way, every so often, you're getting that burst of energy to make sure that you're really going as fast as you can, as often as you can, because it's hard to maintain that high speed endurance the whole time, right? Um, there's a reason that marathon runners, while they are very, very fast, typically aren't also sprinters, because it's a different set of mechanics. It's a different endurance in order to go through. And it's very similar here in speed puzzling. The bigger the bigger the beast count, the more endurance you have, the more sound the tactics and strategy need to be in order to make it successful. Um, it's real easy to have a speed mechanical advantage on smaller piece sizes, But if you have a lot of accuracy missteps that can usually be covered up in a 3 or a 500, as you get to 1,000, those start getting magnified because every piece adds up much more dramatically as you keep pushing through. Suzanne has made some really great progress here. You can see that the pile's a little split, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6.5 total cells, doing a really good job there. And yeah, Hannah has a lot of this built out. You can see she's doing another round of sorting. Rika, you can see that she has a bunch of pieces over on the upper right hand side. I think those are edges that have been sorted. Yeah. So she'll be able to go in and slam those through pretty rapidly. Is that a whale as the box manager there, Michelle?
Yeah, that's her new mascot. She made it herself out of she's quite handy with a sewing machine and with sewing in general. Although I think she sewed this one by hand. She used scraps from her yeah, other sewing projects and made herself a little whale mascot.
That's absolutely wonderful. I love everything about it, and it just makes me hope that you have a whale of a good time. This is excellent.
Yeah, I
I
just want
could
to point out, if you look at Rika's, yeah, she's got two images where she's done the outside of the dog, and there's kind of like two dog shaped holes. That one is the darker one is Fido Carlo, and the more like turquoise, lighter colored one is Pablo Picasso. So they both have black dogs in the middle, and I've seen several people do the background and then kind of leave like these black pieces to figure out later. So we can also see that a bit on Lenka's. And yeah, we've seen it on others. It's also Hannah has got like she's done the Fido Carlo background, the eyes, but the black is saving it for later.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If it's not working, move on to something else. You know, I said very early on, my eye is attracted to that to that Jackson Pollock, that black shaggy dog. But just because you have the pieces for it doesn't mean you have to work on it. If you've sorted it, you can come back to it at any point in time if there's a slowdown somewhere else. But you never have to just sit there and slog. You're always better off moving to. You're always better off getting pieces in somewhere fast than feeling your speed start to decrease, zooming in a little too much on any one thing if it's not working.
Wow, so I just updated the screen. We've now got Victor, Alejandro, and Chiara. Victor has 11, no, hang on. We've got 14 of the 15 dogs partially done. He's only got the one which he hasn't started yet. So there's still a lot of gaps. Don't freak out. I would love it. It's 58 minutes, but he's definitely on the home stretch. I mean, you've got the frame, you've got all of the dogs in their positions where they should be with the main features, and now he's just got to fill in those gaps. And the like you see, like just the apple and the hat of the Renee Vagrita. So because the background is a bit bluish, cloudy. Some of the dogs have like grayish backgrounds, and that's also what I kind of ignored and kind of left till the end, as well as the white border. But Alejandro also has several pieces off to the side that look completed. We can't see until he kind of shifts them over. But yeah, a very different posture for speed puzzling from Alejandro.
Yeah, I don't know about toe touches in the middle of puzzling. I've seen on puzzle Instagram some people doing like planks while they're puzzling, or trying to do a 100-piece puzzle in like push-up position. But doing toe touches the whole time is on 1,000 is a new level of intensity. One thing that I think is fun to point out about Victor and Alejandro's setup here is that Alejandro has his pieces a little more spread out, or at least it appears to be. And Victor's very used to working on a very small table. So whenever the pieces are all much closer together, it can sometimes be a little harder to see the difference between where one piece starts and one piece ends. But because they are all closer, it saves that little bit of extra time in trying to get to them, right? If you think about an extra 1 second for every piece after that 500 piece mark. That's an extra 500 seconds that Victor might be saving here if he's making up that time and being able to see a difference between things. But Alejandro is absolutely flying here, and his ability to pick out exactly what he wants and build that rapidly is amazing. He doesn't make a lot of missteps. So whenever he picks up a chunk of pieces, they're going in. Like that's just what happens. It's absolutely magical. Kiara doing a really good job here. You can see that she's also using that sorting tray, and this is where that trade-off starts coming in of extra touches, because yes, using the sorting tray gives you separation in order to see, but you're also touching some of those pieces an extra time whenever you put them on the tray and then take them back off. So every move that you make in the thousand piece puzzle is a trade-off of some kind. Is this going to be the thing that goes in right away? Is this a thing where I'm adding an extra touch, but I'm saving time later? Some puzzlers aren't always doing those mental gymnastics every step of the way, but you have to keep moving the whole time. You can see Alejandro and Victor's hands just rapidly flying around the table. Hana also doing a really good job. You see that she just got a burst of speed, switching from one cell to the next, and is making some really good progress. And of course, as soon as I say that, everybody knows once the camera's on you, your speeding goes down by 5% because somebody says your name. I'm joking a little bit.
Sorry, Jim,
but,
I just need to just jump in for a moment.
yeah.
Laura Biro, could you please angle your camera down? We can't see the pieces. We can't see your puzzle. Yeah, a bit further down. Okay, yep, thank you. And at Elodie and Daria, we haven't been able to watch you. Your cameras are still off. I guess they have their headphones on and can't hear us. That's a shame. Okay.
Well, I don't blame them. I can be a little noisy sometimes. So. Well, that's actually,
okay,
oh, go ahead.
Elodie says it's on. I'm going to check now. Let's see. No, we can't see you, Elodie. Sorry, Elodie, both screens are off, both devices. Okay. So I want to check in on Francisca. She had the other strategy of pulling pieces out of the box. So yeah, I can't see if she stayed with that strategy or if she did end up pulling the pieces out onto the table. But yeah, it's really nice to see, just scanning the images, just seeing all these dog squares coming together.
Yeah, go Francisca. That's really cool. And it looks like she also decided to go for the border here, and it almost has that complete, which is really impressive. Yeah, because that'll be 126 pieces or so once that's built out. Very, very well done.
Yeah, so we've just crossed the 1 hour mark. So yeah, amazing progress. 1 hour 17 from some of the guesses in the chat doesn't look too unrealistic at this point.
Nope, that's looking pretty good right now. It's really exciting. And Kyle, I don't know if you've seen if you've done a back check on Kyle Kosin in a while. There's a lot of folks from Twitch. I Just Love Puzzles is Gma Grandma Puzzles. She is a wonderful human being. Highly recommend everybody go say hi to her. She's just absolutely lovely. Kyle doing a really solid job here. And he might be in that top 10 line. It looks a little chaotic, but he's making a lot of good work. He just made a pretty decent join there. And Anime is flying. You can see that line of dogs across the middle coming in handy. And this is where having those joins already made, if there's a bump, on any part of the puzzle, the whole thing can shift together rather than starting to become more and more misaligned. The earlier you can make those big joins, the better life is going to be for you. Alejandro here is probably one of the cleaner cut puzzles out of people that are here. Those are mostly complete. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It looks like I'm going to go out on a limb and say 10, 11 completed cells. Him and Victor are pretty close here. I think Alejandro has the edge, um, because there's not quite as many empty spots in some of his. But Victor has a wildly fast close, especially whenever it comes into pieces that are mostly just straight shape in towards the end. And I think he also has a lot of the border complete. And oh no, sorry. Victor still has a lot of his edge left out, and there's 1, 2 cells that he needs to complete here. It's going to be pretty tight. Lenka making some really good progress here, but I think she might be falling behind Alejandro by just a few hairs. It's really going to come down to how much did that border help make sure that she can get pieces in. And Hana has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cells plus the full border. And she is flying trying to get some of these reds in. You can see that she picked up a little bit of speed here. Every so often, just getting that energy boost to know that you're coming into the close, especially in a 1,000-piece puzzle, really helps you stay on pace. Coming up after the hour mark, Lenka's back has got to be dying. She's been standing this whole time. It looks like she has a little bit of a raised table, so it's going to be a little bit easier on her. But still, that's a long time to be standing bent over something. If you don't believe me, go to any exercise class for a while and talk to your instructor. That's gonna be a long a long stretch. Um, Tamara is doing excellent here. There's a lot of shout outs for Catherine. So people are rooting for everybody. Kati doing excellent here. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12 total in there. But she's flying through. You can see that she picks pieces up with both of her hands and rotates them. Like right here, you can see she's going left hand or right hand. Uh, Gets a group of them and feeds it into her left hand, drops a couple, and then repicks them back up to move around. Um, in these 1,000-piece puzzles, every time you drop and pick back up, that's adding time onto the clock. But Kati is so fast and accurate once she decides where that's going to go that it can make that time up pretty rapidly. Alejandro is doing really well here. Lenka hitting a little bit of a slowdown as we come into into those middle islands. It looks like it's the Wolfley Kandinsky and the Paul Klee. Those are that orange background that might be giving her a little bit of a trouble. And that Wolfley Kingsley that has that off gray, and there is a lot of it. So it's going to be it's going to be just a straight shape work in order to get that cell in. And a lot of the other puzzlers don't have it in. I think Victor and Tamar are the ones that have the most of that particular cell worked out. Hana's done a great job, and you can see that by working on that one from the inside out, because it's the most distinct in the middle, rather than trying to do the outside in, has given them a little bit more wiggle room in order to stay ahead here.
Yeah, so I've just updated the screen. I've just added Inga, and Inga has done pretty much all but one of her dogs and basically has the border and the white pieces left. So you can see a really huge section there. Kati just recently attached her pieces together. She's also got one dog left and the white pieces. So yeah, this is going really fast. We're at 1 hour and 9 minutes.
We're at an hour 9, and this is really phenomenal. Yeah, for those of you watching, I know that we have a little bit of glare on our screen to see Inga, but she is absolutely cruising here, and it's really neat that she didn't even complete some of those side cells, where she could have gone into those border pieces and pulled out those ones to try to fill out the rest of what's there. She decided to say, no, I'll deal with the border whenever I get to it. Everything else is more important. And she is just going to be able to go around and zipper that border in really, really rapidly, um, once she gets to that stage, because everything else is built out and she's going to be able to use the color and the shape of that border in order to knock it in. Really, really well done. Uh, Victor hitting a little bit of a speed bump here in the late mid game. Um, but if he can get to the point where it's a handful of just a few handful of pieces that need filling in spots, he can make some really good catch up. Hana also doing a great job. You can see that she's working on that middle orange dog, that Paul Klee, and that's going to be one of the tricky ones for a lot of folks. I know Alejandro has it down, um, but uh, but because of the weird shading on that, if you're not using the image itself, using what's on the box to know where the lines are, that can throw some people off a little bit. Um, Really, really like Hana's setup here. Um, Kati is doing excellent. Inga's flying. This is going to be a really close one coming into the end. And we are at an hour 11. So the fact that people are able to stay this focused for this long, if you're watching or if you're listening or if you haven't done a 1,000-piece puzzle before, I want you to think about when was the last time you stayed hyper focused for longer than an hour without checking your phone? Right? Without any other distraction going on. It seems like a little thing, but staying this focused and moving this fast the entire time is absolutely phenomenal. And Alejandro just made a big shift to lock in several cells there. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He has 2 cells left, and then the remaining of the border. It looks like Victor has a cell and a half or so that's kind of split between some of the things that are in the middle and then the rest of the border. Inga has about a cell in the border. This is going to come down to who can stay the most focused the longest and treat these last couple of steps like it is a true sprint. Um, and I think that's one of the other differences between smaller piece counts and larger piece counts, is that on the smaller piece counts, while there are stages to getting your puzzle done, they clump together quite a bit more, especially in like a 100 or a 300. But as you get to the 500 and the 1,000, um, knowing when to shift gears out of the late mid game of I still need to work on groups or I need to get this handful in, to hey, we're in the close, anything I touch has got to go in, is really, really intense. Kati has made huge progress here. You can see that she has one cell that needs to get filled in, and then there's a lot of lower border, but she might be ahead here, coming into the wrap up. Michelle, are you catching that, or am I bananas?
Yeah, so on screen I've got Hannah, Victor, Alejandro, Kati, Inga, and Kiara. From my perspective, Kati is ahead. She's done most of the boxes, and yeah, filling in. Well, got one dog left, although Victor also has one dog left, and Alejandro as well. Maybe it's just that we have a better angle from Kati's view, but we can just see these single white pieces just to pop in and fill in there. But yeah, it's really, really close. Whereas Inga could be, yeah, she also has very few gaps. There's a lot of glare on hers, but the gaps
Yeah.
getting really small, so not as large as a full dog. And the border,
Yeah.
it could be Inga or Kati.
It's gonna be close no matter what happens. Hana just put a whole bunch of pieces onto the sorting tray, and you can see that since she's put the on the middle of the puzzle, she's able to distribute those pieces very quickly rather than going from the left side to the right side or making a huge travel. She's making them much closer and easier to grab. So she might be able to catch up here if she can distinguish the shapes and the colors a little bit more. She might be able to make a little bit of progress here. Kati, I think she gets the sense that Hana and Inger are close on her heels, trying to pick up the pace. You can see that she's rotating both pieces in her hands very, very quickly here in order to try to get it in. Being able to puzzle two-handed is very difficult tactic, especially whenever you're adrenalized and trying to go as quickly as you can. Victor, you can see that he has one big cell that needs to be filled in, and then a couple of gaps. I'm not sure he's going to be able to catch up to Kati at this point, but he can put on the gas here. Inga has that full border that's still left to do, and I think Kati is down to maybe about 50 pieces. She may be able to pull this out. Hana making excellent progress here. She has gaps all over the place. I don't know if that sorting tray is really organized, but because it's close to her, she might be able to jump around. You can see Kati having to go from left to right and sort of taking that extra travel time. Even though Hana is behind in total pieces, it's going to be pretty close here. Kati finishing up what's left of the white pieces before even trying to dive in on that on that black shaggy dog. And now she's done with the white pieces and she's going up to the black. It may be only about 40, maybe 50 pieces or so that she has remaining. And Kati is really excellent at being able to discern the angle of some of this fur and get it in rapidly. You can see she's already locked in one piece and is cruising along. I think she's going to be able to lock up first place here just based on the pace alone. We can see that Victor and Alejandro are making excellent progress. Alejandro is sweeping those pieces down to finish that last cell in the lower right hand side, and then he's going to go for the border. Victor trying to iron out some of those other missing gaps before he finishes up his remaining cell, the Barksy in that upper left. And then he has more border to finish. Hana feeling the heat from some of the other competitors, but I think Kati is pulling well ahead here, and is going to lock up first
Well,
place.
Kati's got just less than 10 pieces, Hannah about 15 pieces, so really close here.
Yeah. It's gonna be really tight. But I think because Kati has that tight grouping of pieces that she can directionalize really easily, I think she's going to be able to walk away with this. She's doing left hand, right hand, switching back and forth, getting them in 1, 2, coming up on an hour 17. Who is somebody going to be dead on with the time? Kati, hit the timer. Hit the
Done.
timer.
1:17:28 seconds, and Hannah.
And Hannah right behind. Congratulations, Hannah.
So close. Wow. That was incredible. Like, I don't know what, 5 seconds difference or 10. Wow. Well done, Kati and Hannah. That was incredible.
That was absolutely amazing. Congratulations to both of you. That was a barn burner.
Oh, wow. So, is that the fastest time ever for a 1,000 piece puzzle? I would love to know.
I don't think it's the fastest time ever for a 1,000 piece, but it certainly is up there. I think if I remember right, one of the Cloudberry waves is really smart. Also, SJ, very, very, very close to having the exact time of the finishers. We'll have to check the official time recording to see if you were dead on or not. But bonus cookie points for you because that's a phenomenal guess. But congratulations to Kati and Hana. The top 5 is still up for grabs here. As we come in, as we continue on here, I'm trying to fix up my screen a little bit so I can so I can keep an eye on people. But very, very well done.
I've just checked the times, so there was 8 seconds between Kati and Hannah. Incredible.
Oof. That's absolutely phenomenal.
And it was sometime in the 1 hour 17-ish. I don't know what time we started, but it's incredible that after 1,000 pieces they were only 8 seconds apart. But third place is up for grabs. So who is it going to be, Alejandro or Victor?
Yeah, and
Kiara?
those that 8 second difference that could come down to just having an unlucky flip where there's a few more pieces face down than face up, right? A whole bunch of things can happen that make that difference. But now we are coming into the last little sprint here, um, for our top five. You can see Alejandro finishing up that cell. Inga might be able to burst ahead here, um, along with Victor. Victor has his almost the full board completed and about a cell. Alejandro still needs to do that border. We're going to see if he can get those colors to match very quickly. But Inga has a head start on that border. She might be able to take Alejandro here and come into third. It's going to be a game of who can keep their hands moving the fastest. Inga can smell the end is near. You can see that sudden burst of energy that she has, and she is moving very rapidly to get those in. Alejandro might be slowing down here a little bit. That fatigue starting to set in after after an hour and 20 minutes of puzzling. He might be slowing down and sort of getting into that more mellow wrap up pace. But Inga is accelerating here. She only has that bottom border and maybe about a handful that are built around in other places. Victor rapidly moving his hands, trying to finish that remaining cell after getting a lot of his border knocked out. Inga using both hands, you can see that she slid her pile underneath of the puzzle, so that way they're a little bit closer to where they're going to end up. That's always a great move, so that way you're limiting the amount of shifting back and forth that you have to do. Doing a quick check-in, Lenka starting work on that black shaggy dog. Kyle's doing excellent, but this is really Inga's acceleration into the third place slot. That's kind of the news here. Victor very quickly getting that cell together. It looks like he's also bouncing between a couple of the border pieces, but that Banksy is pretty tricky with those gray and black backgrounds. It's him and Inga coming into third as Alejandro slides into fourth place. Inga only has those bottom edges to go. She's very quickly rotating in her hands, feeding into her right hand in order to get it. Has 4 pieces left, 2, 3, counting it down. Victor trying to get as many pieces in as he can, trying to see if he can lock up that 5th place, but I think Inga's going to have him on this one. And Inga slides into 3rd place. Congratulations, Inga. Very, very well done. That was a phenomenal finish. Really, really well done. And you can see the pace starting to wear down. Kiara coming into her close as well. I think Victor is ahead enough that he's going to be able to have 4th place. Tamar also making excellent progress, is about a cell and a border behind to finish up. But it's looking like Kiara and Victor are pretty close to each other, but Victor may have the edge. It's a little hard to tell if there's extra pieces floating around somewhere. But this is a really exciting finish to this part of the competition to round out our top 5. We're going to see who can get into 4th and 5th place here. Anime making excellent progress. Victor rotating the pieces in his hands very rapidly. You can see that he tests things really quickly. He doesn't just pull the piece back if he's wrong. Mentally he's going, if it's not here, it has to be in this other spot, and just moves his hands really, really quickly in order to get there. There's not a lot of downtime between thinking and moving, which especially this late in a puzzle is really, really helpful. You can see that there's maybe about 8 pieces remaining in the middle of that dark blue. And I think he's going to be able to lock up our 4th place slot here.
So Victor's just finished 1 minute behind Inga, and Inga was 5 minutes behind Kati and Hannah.
Congratulations, Victor. Very, very well done.
So
absolutely fantastic.
Alejandro just only the white pieces on the border left. Kiara one dog left, and Tamar coming up closely behind.
Yeah, this is going to be really exciting to see who can get that edge coming into the final close. Are we going to be able to? Are we going to see an upset between Kiara and Alejandro? I think Alejandro may have the edge here because he only has those edge pieces. Kiara falling behind a little bit. You can see Alejandro working through those edges, left, right, starting to grind them down. Kiara a little too far behind in that last cell. Those grays catching up to her, but Alejandro is so quick overall that I think a lot of the work that he did early on paid off, and he claims fifth place for himself. Congratulations, Alejandro! Very, very well done on your first 1,000-piece puzzle competition that I know of. That's for the solo. Or sorry, fourth place, right?
Yeah, so sorry,
There
hang
we go.
on. Sorry, Inga was third, Victor is fourth, Alejandro
There we
was
go.
fifth. Sorry,
Okay.
apologies. So still one more place for
Congratulations,
the top
Alejandro.
6. Looks like Kiara has it in the bag.
Yeah, we're gonna start seeing a little bit of time separation here as we move on. But that was really, really phenomenal by everybody that was able to knock this out in under an hour and 25 minutes. Can we talk for a second about how under an hour 25 minutes to do a 1,000-piece puzzle? That is absolutely amazing. The amount of focus and adrenaline that people have to fight through in order to get this is just bananas. And really, really amazing to watch. You could see Kiara fighting the slog, trying to get those last couple of pieces in. She's down to about 3 or 4. You can see him off to the side. 1, come on, sink it. It's the last little bit. Let's go. Get it done. And you can see Lenka not too far behind here either with the edges. But I think Kiara is going to be able to clean this up very handily. This is absolutely phenomenal to have so many of the top puzzlers in the world here in the EJJ, but also showing how quickly some of these puzzles can be done. It's really, really great to watch, and I highly recommend everybody go back and take a look at people's hands. And Kiara hits the done. There we go. Gets it in. And congratulations on 6th place and a really phenomenal time of an hour and about an hour and 27 or so. Very, very well done, Kiara. Congratulations. That was a bruiser. I hope everybody once you finish, you shake your back out a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of breathing room to get back into the groove of things.
Yeah, so in the next group of finishers, we have Tamar, Anami, Saka, Veronica, and Kyle. Yeah, also on his way, a little bit further behind.
Lenka is down to about 8 pieces or so as well here. She's coming into the wrap up. Tamar's super organized, and Lenka is running. She has like 1 piece, hits the done. Congratulations, Lenka. Very, very well done. That was a great finish. And that was just over an hour 27. This is really, really phenomenal stuff. And you can see that Tamara and Kyle are jockeying to see who can get into that top 10 slot. Anime doing a fantastic job as well. Really having this many people finish in under 2 hours is wild. I way underestimated because I think earlier on I said, oh, we'll have the top 5 under an hour 45. I wasn't wrong, but I could have been a little more aggressive and said under an hour 30. Let's see. Yeah,
Yeah, so just in
Tamar's doing
comparison,
excellent. Sarka. Yeah.
just in
Oh, go ahead.
comparison with the Sunshine Puzzle, the fastest times were 1 hour and 19 minutes. So here we were about 2 minutes faster. And here we have had 5, 6, 7 finishes at 1 hour 28. Yeah, so also very similar. But yeah, we have, and the thing is, we have a lot of people just that I have to put on the screen very quickly after this, because there's another wave of finishes coming. So we're going to have a lot of people with really fast times. I think people might get some personal bests with this one. And I'd really love to hear people's comments when they're finished, what they thought of the puzzle, and yeah, if this was their personal best. But yeah, the range of Happily puzzles, they have a lot of really good puzzles for speed puzzling. As I said, they've all got nice bordered sections. A lot of there's also a very similar puzzle to this one here, but with cats instead of dogs. And yeah, just various objects and items. Really fun, really colorful. And Tamar comes in with just the last 5 pieces with Matisse, that dark blue one. We can see a lot of people have left that to the end. Well done, Tamar.
Hey, congrats.
Can also see the hole in Kyle's puzzle that he's got the Matisse left for the last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Matisse one, it's either a case of you see it real early and it's straightforward to knock out, or it's going to be one of the last things that you're going to play with. But Sarka is looking very strong here. Has, I think it looks like, mostly border and the rest of the Matisse to do. Kyle making excellent progress. It's always difficult once you hit the hour and 30 mark to keep that physical speed going as quickly as you want. But you can see that he's still being very precise. If he picks up a piece, he knows where it's going. So he's making really good progress. And Anime, you can see that she is flying here, coming into the end. That second wind of knowing that you're so close to the end, she is moving very quickly back and forth, trying to get those last couple of handfuls of pieces in. It looks like she only has the border remaining. I think her and Sarka, I think she might be ahead of Sarka at this point. Yeah. And who else is on the screen there in the upper right? It's
Veronica.
Veronica is doing really excellent there. And Elodie is close. This is going to be a really tight race coming into our top 10.
So Elodie's camera was on, and I saw it for a brief moment before it froze, but she has also done most of the puzzle as well. So she's also just nearing and got most of the white left to do. We have a lot of people coming up close to the end. So I think we're going to have so many finishes under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just as a comparison, we had 27 finishes under an hour with the Sunshine puzzle. We're only at 1 hour and 31 minutes, and we have a huge wave of people to come.
Yeah. Veronica's down to those last couple of pieces. And she wraps it up. Congratulations. And Tamar, just ahead. Very, very well done. Veronica wraps up our 9th place slot. Congratulations. And I think it's now down to Anime and Sarka, unless Elodie's camera starts working here. But I think Anime may have the edge here. Not quite as many pieces remaining. Sarka seems to be flipping the pieces in her hands, but doesn't quite have the same physical speed that Anime does coming into this last little bit here. Anime, you can see how excited she is. She's very quickly moving back and forth. She could smell the end of this puzzle in sight and is moving. 1, 2, count them down. She's smiling. She's like, I can do it. I can knock this out in under an hour 33. I can make it happen. And Daria sneaks in under the radar just ahead of Anime. Anime, just got to hit the go button. Got to make it happen. There it is. Congratulations. Very well done, Anime. That was a great close.
Daria, your camera has been off the whole time. Can you please take a photo? Can you please check your camera, please, Daria? We haven't seen anything.
I think Sarka is coming into a close here as well. This is very, very well done. And wildly exciting to see so many people wanting to do a 1,000-piece solo in the EJJ. I know that for a lot of people, doing 1,000 piece puzzle is usually like the for fun space, right? Where you put the puzzle down, you take a lot of extra time. The fact that people are speeding 1,000 piece puzzles and getting them done in ridiculously fast times just shows you how much the speed puzzling world has affected puzzling overall. Because not too long ago, people would have thought trying to speed puzzle 1,000 pieces uh, is is wild as a soloist, and yet here we are getting times now that are close to the pairs times from Worlds a few years ago, which is really really impressive. And yes, those are different puzzles and there's difficulty spikes and all that kind of thing. But the fact that just getting that many pieces done in a similar amount of time as pairs from Worlds is truly phenomenal.
Okay. Sorry, I had some issues with cameras there. So unfortunately, Dari, I couldn't see anything. If you have a photo with your timer, please send that to us. All right, so on screen right now, we have Kyle, Inka, Similia B, and Vicky. And yeah, Kati, if you are there, you can turn your camera on and
Hi.
hi, Kati.
Hi, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Wow, that was an amazing run there, race with Hannah.
Thank you. Yeah.
You were like just seconds away from her.
Mhm.
Yeah. So tell us about the puzzle today. How did you approach this one?
I love the puzzle. It's a really fun image. Like it's exactly my type of image. Like very distinct sections. Like it's 15 mini puzzles, and you could really sort them very well because they are very distinct. Yeah, and that's how I did it. Like I tried to sort out the pieces for each mini image and then assembled it and then moved on to the next image. Um, yes, and I started with a Bauhaus dog, like the one on the like this one,
Mhm.
and a dotted yellow one. Um, yes, and I had a bigger, I had a extension for my table. I don't know if you could see it. I probably only had the assembling area on the screen, but I had a different tray with the pieces.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was I know that some people love trays, some people don't love trays. Um, is it different using the trays for 1,000 piece versus 500s or some of those other piece sizes?
So I didn't use the tray in like the traditional sense, but just to extend my table because it's too tiny and I couldn't have all of the pieces on my table. So I needed the tray to like see the pieces. But I would have also preferred having a tiny tray, like maybe only this size, um, to move some pieces around because like for 1,000 piece puzzle, you really have to move from one side to the other side of the puzzle. And then it's really helpful to have a tray where you can drop some pieces and then bring the tray with you to not have to go from the assembling area to the piece area again. But this may also just be because I have this separated so clearly that on the right side, the pieces, like I had the pieces on the right side and the rest on the left side. So yes, but I would have preferred having a tiny tray, which I didn't have. But in to answer your question, for 500 pieces, I'd never use trays because
Yeah,
it's like yeah.
yeah. And Andrea Pang calls the tiny tray the emotional support tray, which is really great. What drew your eye to that blocky dog early on? Um,
Um, I decided to start with the yellow dotted one, like this one down here, and
oh,
then
okay, that
I
one.
saw the yellow color from the blocky one as well, and then I decided I could also just sort both of them at a time, and then it was pretty easy to see for me. Um, so yeah, but I was missing a bunch of pieces, so um, I continued with something else and still had pieces for the blocky one left in the last, let's say, 100 pieces.
What was the most difficult part of doing this particular puzzle?
Well, I think for me, the most difficult dog was this one up here.
Mhm.
That's why I left it for last. I know you can see the pieces very well, like they're very sortable, but you can't really assemble it. So I think maybe halfway through the puzzle, I saw the pieces for this dog and started to sort them out. But then I decided, no, this will take too long. This will like just slow me down. So I abandoned them. And then in the end, when I did it, I even shape sorted it because it's not many pieces. So I felt like it was very worth it. Um, yeah, I think that was for me personally the most difficult part, and all of the others were pretty easy. And also, you might think that there's a lot of white or that the writings are kind of hard, but you can always see, or there are always tiny colors on the edges of the pieces. So that was pretty doable as well.
Oh, it's really great whenever there's not just a ton of flat color that's indistinguishable. The fact that it's
Yeah,
cut on the pieces where you can see that is really handy. That's
yeah.
cool. Um, when when you know that there's a slowdown coming, like if you're working on a section and you're like, okay, this isn't going fast enough,
Mm.
how do you know to switch to move to something else? Or do you just plow through it, or is it different? Do you use a different strategy whenever you feel a slowdown for the different
Mm.
piece sizes?
I think it depends on the rest of the image. Like if the whole image is very hard and I'm not expecting to accelerate when switching, then I will just stick with the area I'm working on because I don't think it's worth it switching then. But for this kind of image where you can really move on to something totally different, which will go easy as well, um, I definitely would switch whenever I don't feel like I'm going fast, or like if I'm starting to think that I'm not fast enough, then it's already a sign that I should switch. Because if I'm fast, I don't think at all. So as soon as I'm starting to think about it, it's for easy images, it is a sign that I should switch. Um, but to be honest, I don't quite remember if I did. Maybe you've seen it on the screen, but
Yeah.
um, I do remember that I sorted out the Van Gogh dog um, and didn't assemble it for quite a while. I instead filled in the rest of the orange pieces and like other tiny um, like edges on pieces that I could see where they belong to of images that I've already done. So that was kind of like a feeling I didn't really want to assemble that Van Gogh dog because I don't know, it looked hard, which it wasn't, but I don't know. And that's why I just instinctively kept on doing other things. Yeah.
I think it's good for a lot of people to know and get the sense of, just because you sorted it doesn't mean you have to work on it
Yes.
immediately. You can always come back to it a little later.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's for this thing, it's important to not have the pieces in the way though. Because that was a mistake that Kara and I did in the pairs final at Worlds. I think we've told that before, but the dome we sorted it out like it was the first thing we sorted out, and it was actually one of the last things that we assembled, and it was in the way all the time. So if you do that, you should be aware that the pieces shouldn't be in the way. Like for example, with the dog up here, um, I just put the pieces on the very top of my table where
mhm.
they wouldn't bother me at all, um, above the outer edge. So they were out of my sight and brain and whatever. So that worked very well. Um, but if I had it like in place, it might have distracted me or kept me from connecting the other squares. So yeah, you don't have to assemble it right away when sorted, but you should be wary that it doesn't like lay around and distract you.
No, it's really neat. How does that uh, just because I'm wildly curious on a 1,000-piece puzzle, um, whenever you go to sort, there can be a lot of distinction between a very specific line,
Mm,
where like on this, there's maybe about there might be about 10 pieces or so that can distinguish the outer line versus the inner line.
yeah.
If this were a 300-piece puzzle, that may only be like two or three pieces.
Mhm.
Do you still go for those two or three pieces, or do you try to get a bigger chunk overall
Mm,
whenever you're working on that smaller piece size?
yeah.
Like where does that shift happen?
For me personally, I wouldn't even go for the line of 10 or 15 pieces here. Um, I only did that for this dog here because I saw this red,
Mhm.
white edge in the very beginning. It was only like 10 pieces, and I just saw it because they were naturally laying together, so I sorted them out. But usually I wouldn't go for um, particularly, say, this line here.
Mhm.
Um, I would always search the whole image or um, bigger sections, but that is, I think, my type of puzzling, that I always like to have bigger piles of pieces for the things that I want to assemble. But when I have this, let's say, uh, this dog here, and I have sorted all of the pieces for this one, I would start to assemble with a white line. So then I would do a mini sorting again, sometimes only in my head, sometimes actually on the table, to then do the tinier piece count things.
So when you're going through things, do you think about how many pieces you're picking up in one go?
No, I think about, does it feel like it's a section big enough to actually be able spotting the pieces in the big pile? Or is it too big and too difficult, and then I would not start it? So it has to be like in the middle of both ends. But it's more of a feeling that I just follow and not thinking about, okay, this is going to be 50 pieces exactly, I will sort them. Or there's no, like, yeah, no border where I would say after above
Yeah.
50 pieces, I wouldn't go for them.
Yeah, I was about to say, because on like 100-piece puzzle, that's half the puzzle in one shot, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, tell us a little bit about how do you stay focused for a whole hour and change,
Mm,
trying to get these done.
good question. For this one, I was really focused. I'm surprised by myself because I didn't even sit down. Like, I was standing throughout the whole puzzle, and I was expecting to sit down. Um, but I was so in the zone that I didn't even feel the need to. So, um, yeah, I think one aspect is that the puzzle suits me. Like, if I don't feel like I'm slowing down or starting to think if I'm too slow or something, like if the mentals are really peak, then I'm also focused. Um, but as soon as I'm starting to like doubt myself or think about the puzzle a lot or feeling that I'm going slow and that it's not working super well, then it's also harder to stay focused. Mm, I think that's more of a mental tip than like actually puzzling tip, but it helps me to um, tell myself about the achievements I had in puzzling before I start like a competition, and try to focus on uh, the positive things and the skills I have, and not thinking about, ooh, who else is in this competition who might beat me, or um, who could be slower on this, faster on this particular part. Like, just I try to focus on the things that I know that I capable of. So yeah.
I love that, and I think that's huge, especially for a lot of people that are going into competitions, is that it's real easy to focus on or start thinking about all of these other external things
Mhm.
that you have no control over, right? Like
Mhm.
it's not like a lot of other sports where you can interact with another player, right? In this, it's you and the clock and the puzzle,
Yes.
and maybe your partner. So I really like that your idea is to just focus on what you're good at it. Talk about, really hype yourself up
Mm.
rather than worry about how other people are going to affect you. That's really cool. Um, when you're thinking about focus for long periods of time, how does that shift doing like a singular 1,000 piece puzzle versus doing the epic 24-hour puzzle marathon on an all-star team of puzzlers?
Mhm.
How,
That
like
was.
what's different there?
Mhm. First of all, it was amazing. I loved everything about it. It was great. I will be there next year again. Um, it was amazing. The focus, I think, in general, like these marathon competitions are different from sprint competitions because it's a bit, there's music in the background. There are many more teams that are not taking it too serious, and it's all more about the fun part. So the focus in general isn't as high as in a sprint competition where it's just everyone against everyone and we are all super focused and want to like be fast as we can. And sure, we wanted to be as fast as we can as well, but we also wanted to like have a good time and have fun. And also there wasn't a lot of pressure because we knew we didn't have like the the biggest competition, right? Because
you
we
you
were a
you
very
you
fun
were all
team.
the big competition, right? Who
So
all was on that team?
it was Hannah, Kiara, Victor, Andrea, Tobias, and Karen.
And then you. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's kind of hard to get any competition when you guys are all each other's competition usually.
Yeah, that's true. So we went in the competition with a totally different feeling. It was just us against the time
Mhm.
and wanting to reach our goal of a certain amount of pieces or puzzles that we would want to complete. So the focus wasn't dragged down by mental doubts, at least for me. Um, so on that aspect, it was easier to stay focused, I guess. But on the other hand, obviously, it's like 24 hours, and at some point you do get tired, or your thoughts are somewhere else than with the puzzle. And especially when you get a very hard image in the middle of the night, and you return from like, I was in bed, and then I came back to the table, and I was really motivated, and I thought, yes, let's go. I want to puzzle now. And then I see my teammates, all of them, oh, super sad, sitting at the table doing a tiger puzzle. I yeah, then the focus wasn't there from the beginning because they also told me, yeah, we're sitting here for 2 hours and it doesn't go and it's just super hard. And like, if you come to the table like that, it's hard to even get in the energy of speed puzzling. Mm. But yeah, it was still a lot of fun, and I think for such a marathon competition, it's um, more like endurance and just having fun, which is the most important part because you can force yourself doing a puzzle that you don't like for an hour or let's say 90 minutes. But if you have to force yourself for 10 or 12 hours, it won't work. So I think you don't need that high focus, but you need the fun aspect.
Yeah, I tell puzzlers a lot that, if you're in a competition, whatever comes out of the bag, that is just your favorite puzzle for the next,
Mhm.
until you're done, right? Like
Yeah,
at most you're lying to yourself for an hour and a half. And then after that you can hate the puzzle forever.
yeah.
But for that little bit of time, just the positivity goes such a long, long way,
Mm-hmm.
which is really great. Whenever you jump from like section to section, you were mentioning feeling an acceleration, or like you knew you could accelerate through things. Um, what is that feeling like, and is it different if you do it on a 500 versus 1,000, or is the exact same, just more pieces?
I think it's the exact same. Like, um, if we assumed that this was a 500-piece puzzle, it probably would feel the exact same way. Yeah, if it's just these sections, it's perfect for me. I don't know.
Have you ever done the same? Because I know there's a lot of brands where they have the 1,000-piece version and then they have the 500-piece version that's the same image. Have you ever done that kind of
No,
comparison before?
no, I've never done that, but that would be interesting.
It'd be fun to check out just
Yeah,
to see
sure.
if it actually feels different or not. That'd be cool.
True.
Do you do a lot of solo big piece count speed puzzling?
No, not at all. I think I've only done 2, and with this one 3 speed puzzles on 1,000 pieces.
You do not.
Yes. I don't know. I didn't expect it to be very different, so I didn't feel like I would need to practice that in particular. Um, and also, it's not relevant for the major in-person competitions, so I just never thought about training 1,000-piece puzzles. And also, I was trying to save the 1,000-piece puzzles for
Pairs and teams and
calm.
yeah.
Yes, but also for calm puzzling. Like, if I'm coming home after a long day of work, I don't want to uh, speed puzzle. I want to like relax and calm down. But it's hard with 500 pieces. I always automatically get into the mode of speed puzzling. I can't stop that. So 1,000-piece puzzles was always easier to just chill and like, especially nature puzzles. You just do the sky and everything's
Yeah.
you can be a bit slower. It's okay. So I never thought about speed puzzling them. But then I was just interested in how fast I would be on the jungle image from the World's Teams competition, because it was so much fun. And then I wanted to try that just for me. I don't remember the time. It was probably 1 hour and 40 minutes, I guess. And then also from this brand, I participated in the pairs competition with
Yeah.
Jana, with the tins.
Yeah, that was a fast one.
And I loved that image. It was great. And then I wanted to do that on my own one time to see how fast I could actually be, because I thought, um, if I can be really fast and at 1,000 pieces, it would be this image. And it was when I did that, it was super, like, I was in a hurry because I did it on the day when I left for the German national competition. And I had to leave, like, I don't remember the time, but I started the puzzle maybe 1 hour and 15 minutes before I had to leave. And then my alarm rang and
Oh
told me,
no.
you should stop now, you should leave, um, because I had to pack some things.
Yeah.
But I was so close to finishing that I really wanted to complete the puzzle. Um, and then, like, long story short, I didn't write down my time because it was so, I was in a rush so much that I forgot to write down the time. But I
Yeah.
remember it was less than 70 minutes, so it was like maybe 1 hour and 8 minutes or something.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so phenomenal. Well, I'm really glad that you gave this different piece count a shot at speeding, because you
Mm.
clearly have a knack for it. You're one of the best puzzlers in the world. I hope that it doesn't mean that you have to start doing like 3,000-piece puzzles as your relaxed puzzle, and can still
I
find the
do.
like calm space to do it just for funsies.
Yeah.
But I just once again, congratulations on a fantastic job today.
Thank you
Really,
very
really
much.
well done.
Thank you
You're
very
a
much.
phenomenal puzzler. This is great.
Thank you. We have to celebrate. It's my first win in the actual online competition, not the fax
That's
version.
right.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Yes.
You did the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well done,
Yes.
Kati. I
Thank
really
you so much.